Hours after helping the lost child find her mother, the single dad tells himself the moment is over, filed away with other small, decent choices that never change anything. He drives home, reheats leftovers, helps his own child with homework, and settles into the quiet rhythm of a life built on caution. Then his phone lights up with a name he hasn't seen in years, connected, impossibly, to the woman from earlier. The realization lands slowly, then all at once. The child's mother is tied to someone from his past, someone who once decided he wasn't enough. Back then, he was labeled unreliable, temporary, the kind of man people thank politely before moving on without him. He remembers standing on the wrong side of closed doors, watching opportunities go to louder voices, smoother resumes, better stories. He thought he'd made peace with that version of himself, buried it under routines and responsibility. But now the past breathes again, warm and close. He wonders if this is coincidence or consequence, if helping the child merely stirred old ghosts or set something new in motion. The message is simple: gratitude, nothing more. Yet it carries weight, as if it's asking a question he isn't ready to answer. He considers not replying. He considers protecting the fragile stability he's built. But as he looks at his child asleep on the couch, trusting the world because he taught them how, he feels the quiet pull of unfinished business. Some chapters don't stay closed because they're meant to be rewritten. And sometimes, the smallest choice, staying, helping, caring when it's inconvenient, doesn't end when you walk away. Sometimes it follows you home, waits a few hours, then knocks, gently but firmly, asking if you're finally ready to see what it was always leading toward. The message arrives the next morning, polite and careful, thanking him again for staying with her daughter when no one else noticed. They agree to meet briefly, nothing formal, just a quiet cafe near the school. When they sit across from each other, the conversation moves slowly, measured, as if both understand the weight of speaking too much. There are no explanations about the past, no questions about why certain doors once closed. Instead, they talk about practical things, work schedules, children's routines, the small adjustments life demands when you're raising someone alone. He notices how she listens without interrupting, how she doesn't rush to fill the silences. She notices how he chooses his words carefully, not to impress, but to stay honest. The ease between them feels unfamiliar, almost disarming, because it asks for nothing in return. Time passes quicker than expected, and when they stand to leave, neither reaches for promises or excuses to meet again. Still, something has shifted, subtle but undeniable. Outside, parents pass with backpacks and strollers, life moving forward without ceremony. Then they part ways, respectful and contained, each returning to their day, both knowing that whatever this was, it wasn't finished, only beginning to take form in the spaces they left unspoken. The days after the cafe meeting feel heavier than they should. Old memories surface without warning, slipping into the quiet moments of his routine. He remembers how easily people once dismissed him, how reliable was never a word used in the same sentence as his name. Just getting by, that was the label. He'd learned to live beneath it, to stop expecting more. At work, he catches himself hesitating before speaking, a habit formed years ago. Back then, opinions from men like him were tolerated, not valued. He'd watched decisions being made around him, never with him. Those moments hardened into a quiet rule: don't draw attention, don't reach too far, don't risk being seen and judged again. Raising his child alone forced him to rebuild from that place. Every choice became careful, deliberate. Stability wasn't glamorous, but it was sacred. He learned how fragile balance could be. One wrong move, one emotional misstep, and everything could tilt. Revisiting the past feels dangerous, like touching a crack in a wall he spent years reinforcing. He notices how quickly his defenses rise when her name crosses his mind. Not anger, caution. He reminds himself that ease doesn't mean safety. Familiarity once led him into rooms where he wasn't welcome. He can't afford mistakes now. Not when someone depends on him to be steady, present, unshaken. At night, while washing dishes, he replays moments he thought he'd outgrown. A supervisor's polite smile that never turned into opportunity. Conversations ending just short of commitment. Being thanked for effort, then forgotten. Those memories don't hurt the way they used to, but they still leave marks. His child notices the change before he does. Questions linger longer. Laughter comes slower. He answers gently, careful not to pass down his own unease. He promised himself long ago that his child would never feel like an afterthought, never question their place in his world. The connection forming around him feels inevitable, and that's what unsettles him most. He didn't seek it. He didn't plan it. It simply appeared, threading through ordinary moments, asking for attention. He wonders if inevitability is just another word for risk he hasn't calculated yet. When he runs into her again, by chance, their exchange is brief. Polite. Grounded. Still, something lingers in the way she meets his eyes. Not curiosity, not judgment, but recognition. That unsettles him more than criticism ever could. Being seen requires courage he isn't sure he has left. He tells himself to slow down, to protect what he's built. Emotional distance becomes a shield he knows well. It's easier to manage expectations than repair disappointment. Easier to stay on the edges than step back into rooms that once made him feel small. Yet as the week ends, he realizes avoidance hasn't brought relief, only tension. The past isn't asking to be relived, only acknowledged. And as another unexpected message lights up his phone, he understands that keeping his distance might no longer be enough to keep everything intact. The children find each other before the adults do. It starts with small moments, shared crayons at a school table, laughter drifting from the playground, a game invented on the spot. He notices how easily his child relaxes around her daughter, how quickly trust forms without explanation or caution. Those moments create repetition. A nod at school pickup, a brief exchange near the gate, then a longer pause, a few words added each time. He keeps his tone polite, controlled, careful not to let familiarity take root too quickly. Routine, he reminds himself, can be mistaken for permission. She never pushes. When they speak, she asks simple questions and lets the answers land. No probing. No curiosity disguised as concern. He finds that unsettling. He's used to defending himself, to clarifying, to correcting assumptions. Silence, when offered without judgment, feels heavier. He begins to notice details he wishes he didn't. The way she watches the children first before speaking. How she doesn't interrupt when he pauses, as if she understands that some thoughts take time to surface. It makes him more aware of his own restraint. Their conversations drift toward practical ground, school schedules, lunches, small frustrations that come with parenting alone. There's comfort there, but also risk. Shared understanding can become shared expectations, and expectations once cost him more than he could afford. At home, his child talks about her daughter with easy excitement. Stories spill out without fear of being misunderstood. He listens, smiling, but inside he measures the space this connection is beginning to occupy. Children don't calculate consequences. Adults have to. He tries to redirect, suggesting other playmates, other routines. But coincidence keeps intervening. Another school event. Another afternoon where paths cross naturally. He starts to wonder whether avoidance is protecting him or isolating him. She notices his caution, but doesn't challenge it. Instead, she mirrors his pace, matching distance with respect. That, too, unsettles him. In the past, people either demanded closeness or dismissed him entirely. This quiet balance feels unfamiliar. One afternoon, as they watched the children play, he mentioned something small, an offhand comment about work instability. He expects questions. Instead, she nods once, acknowledging without dissecting. The moment stays intact, unbroken by curiosity. That night, he realizes he's replaying the conversation not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. Understanding without interrogation feels like trust offered in advance. He isn't sure how to hold something that hasn't asked for proof. As the children plan their next meeting with innocent certainty, he feels the tension tighten. This connection is no longer accidental. It's becoming a choice, and he senses that the next one may require more honesty than he's prepared to give. The thought returns when he least expects it, usually in the quiet spaces between tasks, when there's nothing left to distract him. He replays the day he missed the interview, the way time slipped through his hands while he waited with her daughter. He still hasn't decided whether that choice cost him something or spared him from it. Part of him wants to explain it, to lay the facts out plainly, and let them exist without meaning more than they should. But pride intervenes. He's spent too long refusing to be seen as a man who trades responsibility for sympathy. He doesn't want his kindness reframed as sacrifice. When they talk, he keeps the story incomplete. He mentions work being uncertain, schedules shifting, opportunities coming and going. He leaves out the sharp edge of that afternoon, the phone call he never returned, the door that quietly closed. Some truths feel heavier once spoken. She notices the pattern before he does. The way he redirects when conversations edge toward loss. How his tone changes when the future comes up. She doesn't press, but her attention sharpens, listening not just to his words, but to what he avoids. The children give him no such luxury. One evening, his child casually mentions how he helped someone even though it meant being late. The words land between the adults, unplanned and honest. He feels exposed, caught between pride and explanation. He laughs it off gently, reshaping the moment into something lighter. No big deal. Just timing. Just life. She accepts the version he offers, but her eyes linger a moment longer than before. Understanding settles in quietly, without accusation. Later, alone, she reflects on the restraint she's witnessing. She recognizes it, not as secrecy, but as protection. She's seen it before in people who learn that openness often invites judgment, not support. His silence isn't emptiness. It's discipline. Their next encounter carries a subtle shift. Nothing dramatic changes, yet the air between them feels denser, charged with unspoken context. He senses that she sees more than he intended, and oddly, that doesn't frighten him the way pity would. Still, fear holds its ground. He tells himself that revealing the full truth risks altering the balance they've found. He doesn't want gratitude to turn into obligation, or understanding to become leverage. Some stories, he believes, are safer when kept unfinished. But as they part that day, she thanks him again, not for the past, but for being consistent, present, steady. The words land differently this time. And as he watches her walk away, he realizes that the truth he's been guarding may soon demand to be acknowledged, whether he offers it willingly or not. The truth doesn't come as a revelation announced loudly. It arrives quietly, in the middle of an ordinary conversation, when expectations are low and defenses are down. They're standing near the school, watching the children drift between laughter and motion, when she mentions something that shifts the ground beneath him. She speaks carefully, choosing her words with the same restraint he's come to recognize. The position he once mentioned, the one that slipped away, comes up naturally, without drama. She asks if he ever wondered what became of it. He shrugs, noncommittal, as if the answer no longer matters. Then she tells him. The company didn't last. Financial issues surfaced within weeks. Layoffs followed quickly, disorganized and abrupt. People left without warning, scrambling to recover. Accepting that role would have pulled him into instability far worse than what he already carries. He listens in silence, the information settling slowly. His first instinct is disbelief, followed by something close to relief. He remembers how certain he was that he'd failed, how easily he accepted loss as consequence. Now the narrative shifts, reframing that afternoon in ways he never allowed himself to consider. She doesn't say it like a lesson. She doesn't attach meaning to it. She simply lets the facts exist. Yet the implication presses in. The choice he made, staying with a frightened child, didn't derail his future. It redirected it. For the first time, he allows himself to see that moment without guilt. Not as a mistake, not as a sacrifice, but as alignment. Something in him loosens, a tension he didn't realize he'd been carrying. The idea unsettles him, good choices protecting him instead of costing him. She watches the realization unfold without interrupting. When he finally looks at her, there's no satisfaction in her expression, no sense of having delivered good news. Just understanding. As if she knows how rarely life offers clarity after uncertainty. He thinks about how often he's accepted hardship as proof of character, believing struggle was the price of decency. This reframing challenges that belief. What if integrity doesn't always demand loss? What if it sometimes shields you from damage you never see coming? The children call out, breaking the moment. Life continues as usual, yet something fundamental has shifted. The past no longer feels like a closed door. It feels like a corridor that bent him away from harm without his awareness. He goes home that night replaying the conversation, not with regret, but with curiosity. If that loss wasn't a failure, then what else has he misunderstood about his own story? And more importantly, what might still be unfolding because of choices he made without expecting anything in return? The conversation continues a few days later, unplanned but inevitable, unfolding during another shared moment of waiting, while the children finish an activity. Nothing in her tone suggests importance, which is why his guard stays down. She speaks as if discussing whether, timing, ordinary things. She mentions an organization she's connected to, one focused on long-term stability rather than quick growth. A role is opening soon. Not flashy. Not temporary. Something built around consistency, trust, and responsibility. The words sound familiar, almost tailored, though she doesn't look at him when she says them. He listens without assumption. Over the years, he's learned not to mistake proximity for opportunity. Hope, when raised too early, has a way of turning against you. He keeps his expression neutral, waiting for the conversation to move on. Instead, she pauses. Then she tells him she's already mentioned his name. Not casually, not as a suggestion tossed into the air. She recommended him. Fully. Deliberately. The sentence lands with quiet force, leaving space for him to respond, or retreat. He feels the old reflex tighten in his chest. The instinct to decline before conditions are attached. He asks why, already preparing to refuse whatever version of help might follow. He won't accept charity. He won't be carried. She answers without hesitation. It isn't because he helped her daughter. That moment mattered, yes, but it wasn't the reason. It was the pattern she noticed afterward. His consistency. His restraint. The way he chose responsibility when no one was watching. She explains that integrity shows itself in small decisions repeated over time. Anyone can perform when they expect recognition. Fewer people do the right thing when it costs them quietly. That's what stood out. That's what aligned. The word recognition echoes longer than it should. No one has framed his life that way before. Not as survival, not as endurance, but as evidence. Something solid. Something seen. He doesn't respond right away. He looks toward the children, grounded by their presence. He thinks about how often he's braced himself against disappointment, mistaking humility for invisibility. This isn't rescue. No one is lifting him out of his life. He's being invited forward. She adds one final thing, that the role isn't guaranteed. There are interviews, standards, expectations. This isn't a shortcut. It's a door, opened because someone finally noticed how he'd been standing outside it all along. As they part, nothing changes outwardly. No celebration. No promises exchanged. Yet as he walks away, he feels something unfamiliar settle in his chest. Not relief, not excitement, but validation. And for the first time in years, he allows himself to wonder what might happen if he steps into what he's earned, instead of staying where he's learned to survive. Stability doesn't arrive all at once, and that's how he knows it's real. It comes quietly, through routines that stop feeling fragile, and days that no longer require constant calculation. The new role asks more of him, but it also respects him, offering structure without pressure and expectations without doubt. He settles into it the way he's learned to settle into everything, with consistency, not spectacle. Trust grows the same way between them. There is no rush to define anything, no need to promise what hasn't been tested yet. They meet when it makes sense, talk when words feel necessary, and allow silence to exist without fear. Their children remain at the center, anchoring every decision, shaping the pace naturally. Over time, shared moments accumulate, simple dinners, unremarkable afternoons, quiet laughter that doesn't demand explanation. Romance forms not as an escape, but as an extension of respect already earned. Two adults, aware of what rushing once cost them, choose presence instead. He notices how different this feels from before. There's no sense of being evaluated, no need to prove worth. What connects them isn't intensity, but alignment. They show up. They listen. They stay. And in that steadiness, something deeper takes root. The story closes not with grand declarations, but with understanding. Helping others doesn't guarantee reward. Most of the time, it goes unnoticed, folded into the ordinary flow of life. But sometimes, when no one is watching, those choices quietly adjust your path. They move you away from what would have broken you and toward what fits. Not as payment, not as rescue, just as placement. Exactly where you belong.